Oh, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in this world. And this is Peter Blanks here with the new webinar. And it's a decidedly terrible night out tonight. And so I'm just going to do a straight presentation on thoughts about thinking and feeling rather than getting people involved. So just stay with me for a little while. So the U initiative is about the three principles and how our mind works, I guess. And so that's what I want to go through tonight. So here we are. So first of all, is this going to work? Let's go here. So I want to talk tonight about I'm okay, I'm not okay, and is that okay? Because sometimes we're just not okay. But I guess it's making when I'm not okay, okay. Does thinking create our reality? Is our reality the reality? So we're going to explore some of this tonight. Can we control our thoughts? I don't know about you, but I've never succeeded yet. Thoughts just pop into my head for no apparent reason and continue to do so. Are our feelings a result of our thinking? No, I think in the outside in world that we've all been brought up in, I've been brought up in that, it was other people were creating my feelings by what they're doing and outside events and stuff like that. And from the three principles perspective, that's not like that at all. It's actually an inside out job. And is it all about our thinking? Like, is it all about our thinking? I'm not sure, so let's check it out. And if things are not going very well, or they're going very well, remember at any moment we can have a new thought, and we do continually. So whereas we think we get stuck on a thought, and we'll talk about that in the presentation, we get stuck on the thought and it just carries on and carries on, whereas we can have a new thought and get a different outcome. And I want to talk about from the black hole to bliss on the continuum. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. So here we are. I'm okay, I'm not okay. And I don't know if it's clear cut as that, but I think it probably is. I know when I'm feeling okay, well, I'm okay. And when I'm not okay, I'm not okay. And there's that line. When I'm not okay, I'm sort of below the line. And when I'm above the line, I'm okay. And look, a little smiley face. And usually when we're okay, we have a smile on our face and life's going pretty well. And when we're not okay, we're very unhappy. And it's interesting that we were born with this ability to go from I'm okay to I'm not okay. But in fact, when we were really young, we used to do that very often. In a moment, we could be as happy as Larry, and then either I didn't get fed, or I didn't get what I wanted, or I got a dirty nappy, and I'd cry. And someone would come along and do something and comfort me, and suddenly I'm okay again. And I guess that's where we start getting this idea of outside in, where it's the outside world that's making us feel better, or it's the outside world that's making us not feel so much better. But the fact is, if you watch young children, you'll see them go from I'm okay, and in an instant, bang, they're down the bottom there and they're not okay. But almost in the same instant, they're back up again. They don't hang on to it. They just go up and down, and usually quite easily up and down. So in actual fact, we were born with this ability to be okay and then not okay and then okay again. That's just part of being human. We've all got that. We were all born with that. But then we sort of grew up and we become adult, and sometimes we do this. We go down and we go, we get very, very serious about things, and instead of being able to bounce back like we have the ability to, and we certainly did when we were younger, we hang on to something and we carry it on and we stay below the line. And it's a grumpy looking fella, isn't he? And this is what the outcome can be. is that this is not a good place to be. And it's a lot to do with our thinking and what's happening around us and all sorts of things. We can finish up down here. And I think from here, where we were pretty simple and lifeless, we were born with this ability, with the babies here, we can become this way and often can get stuck with this stuff going on. And how long is it going to take to get over this? Well, it could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour, could be half a day, could be a whole day. It just goes on and on sometimes. It could be a week. And we've all seen people, and you may have even been there yourself, where you've been in a grump or you've been feeling down and it's lasted a week or even longer. And the scary part about that is, even worse, this can become habitual and even normal. So it can be habitual over anything and everything. So everything becomes a problem, and it keeps me below the line. I don't know whether any of you can recognise that. And even worse, we can even make living below the line permanent. And we've probably come across people that actually live in that space a lot of the time, and they're generally sort of fairly unhappy. And this is serious stuff. It's detriment to our health. It's detriment to our relationships. It's detriment to our creativity. It's not a good place to be, and we don't operate very well from this place. And the question is this just a result of our thinking, or is it something else going on here? Well, Sydney Banks would say, the guy that sort of came across the three principles and developed the mind, thought and consciousness, would say, yeah, it's all to do with our thinking. We sometimes don't notice the thinking, and we can feel really bad or feel low or feel stressed or frustrated. But actually, to be able to get to that place, we've got to think about it first, somehow, somewhere. That's what we do as human beings. That's how we all work. Everybody else works, whether you're male or female, black, white, brindle, green, yellow, whatever, wherever you come from. Every single human being works like this. And we can't actually get a happy feeling or a sad feeling without having some thought about it first. And even though we've grown to adulthood and we can do this stuff here, down the bottom here, we still have this ability. It's never gone away for us to, in one moment, be not okay, and in the next moment be okay, and so on and so forth. We used to do this for the first couple of years of our life, and we'd throw a tanty really badly sometimes, and then 10 seconds later it was gone, and it was forgotten about. We didn't think about it. We don't seem to do that as adults when we grow up. So here's another thought. This is the continuum of life, if you like. And at one end, it's bliss. And the other end, it's the black hole. And I guess we've all perhaps experienced some of those things. These are extremes, but and when I'm in bliss, I'm really contented, I'm calm, I work out of a clear mind. It's happiness plus, and I seem to have lots of options when I'm in this place. When I'm down here, this is dark, and it's a horrible place to be. It's painful, it's hurtful, it's a sad place to be. It's the pits. And down here, I can be very, very unhappy, and I can experience few options. I don't seem to, when it's black, it's hard to see out, and it's hard to see any of this lightness over here. So I'm talking about at the end of these continuums, extreme, and for each of us, we're up and down on this continuum. And I guess when I was getting into the work I do now, I thought, well, I should be up this end all the time, bliss and contentment. That's where you have to be, positive thinking and all that. But I've discovered there will be times in our lives, for whatever reason, when we'll all visit this end of the continuum. You have a tragedy in your life, things are not going well, and at an extreme, this is where depression lives, and lots of anxiety and all sorts of things going on down here. So we can all visit that place. Is it possible to live at this end of the continuum all the time? Well, I'm not sure. my answer to that is say, well, why not? Why not? Because this is the ability we were all born with. It hasn't gone away. It's still, we still have this ability as we have here as babies to go up and down on this. And I'd like to think, I just think it's much more fun up the the bliss end. Now, whether I can get into total bliss and I'm walking around with white robes and sunshine flowing out all my orifices, that's not. I'm not going to live in that world, I don't think. I'm going to live in the real world where, some days don't go so well, some weeks don't go so well, some situations don't go so well. But I still have the ability to be able to live up this end of the continuum. Now, I never know from one day to the next, like any of us, when something might happen that's going to take me down the other end. And I'd like to think that I'm not going to visit these extremes. And certainly if I do, they won't last very long. I'll move my way back up the continuum. I think that's a much healthier thing to do. So, according to the three principles, our thinking creates our reality moment to moment. Peter's reality, my reality, is the only reality there is for me, especially in that moment. Your reality is yours, and we all live in separate realities because we're all unique individuals. We think differently. We have different experience. We have different pasts, and so we all live in separate realities. And I see couples and I see people in work situations really struggling with not getting on with people or getting different with people, or disagreeing, or all sorts of things. And when you think about it, it's as simple as we all live in different realities. You know, I remember years and years ago when I started this journey I'm on now, and I started training as a marriage guidance counsellor, and it was a voluntary organisation. In those days, you gave your time and they gave you the training, which training was fantastic. And the people we had come to us were referred to the court. So usually they had already separated and they were struggling with that and struggling how to separate healthily, I guess. And our job was to, as counsellors, was to help them to do that. And I remember very, very early on, I got this woman came in and who had separated from her husband. And when she told me a story, I'm thinking, oh, no wonder she left. Oh, wow, geez, this guy sounds terrible. And I just couldn't believe anybody could be like that. And I was thinking how bad that had been for her. So when I was having the meeting coming up with the guy, I sort of formed a bit of an opinion about this guy from her story. This guy came in and he was the loveliest guy I've ever come across. He was very genuine and he was caring, and he was not at all what I understood him to be from his ex-wife's explanation. And I had to look at my notes and make sure I got the right person, because it seemed crazy. We were talking about the same relationship and they were so totally different. Their experiences were so totally different. And that woke me up very early into the piece that we all live in our own reality, and it's usually our realities that clash that create most of our problems in relationship. So when we're thinking about thinking and thoughts, we're saying, well, does our thought create our feeling? Can you have a feeling without a thought? Well, the fact is I'm pretty clear that it's very difficult to have a feeling without having a thought first. However, we might not notice that thought. We might just notice the feeling, and often we do. We don't notice where the feelings come from, because it could be something that's been triggered off from my past or an experience I had, and I don't notice the thought at all. I just get the feeling. And I think that's where we can all be hoodwinked into thinking that our feelings just arrive out of nowhere. They're just for no apparent reason. I get upset because something somebody else is doing, or something I should have done and shouldn't have done, and all sorts of things. But if we accept the fact, or we explore the fact that every thought has a feeling attached to it, and we can't have a feeling without having a thought first. So just to sum up what we've been talking about here, our feelings are not created by outside events, people, circumstances, or experiences. It's a pretty bold sort of statement, isn't it? But I've come really clearly and have thought of that for a long time, that this is an inside-out job, and any feelings I get are created as an inside experience from my thinking. We live in the feelings of our thoughts moment to moment, so I can't control the thoughts that come into my head. I'd like to think I could, but I can't. And so sometimes I was just driving tonight, and someone cut me off. And it's like, well, I was going along minding my own business and was actually quite happy, and suddenly I was in a different situation, because this guy cut me off, didn't even notice I was there, and could have caused a nasty accident. And I try not to do road rage any longer, but I must admit that cropped up very, very quickly. And I caught myself in that and thinking, well, this guy probably didn't even notice I was there. Do I want to get upset about this? And would me getting upset about it make any difference to that, to what had just happened? No, none at all. So it's a much, I find it's a much more useful place to notice my feelings and go, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? And I can do that in a nanosecond, because we're, as human beings, we're very, very, very clever. I can notice in a nanosecond that, yeah, I'm not feeling okay. I was, and then I'm not, very, very quickly. However, I don't have to do anything about that feeling or the thought. It's just very, very useful to notice it. That's all I have to do, because as I notice it, I can go, well, okay, do I want to rant and rave? Do I want to chase this guy down the road? Do I want to my blood pressure to go up, and all sorts of things like that? Well, no, I don't want any of that. So I can catch myself in the moment, and I can change my thoughts about that. And when I change my thoughts, I get a different feeling. Not always, because I still get caught up in the way of the world, but I can do more of that now than I used to. So our feelings are a result of our thinking in the story. And you may accept that, you might think that's true, you might think it's not, and you don't have to believe that is true. But think about it. Just notice that when you get a feeling, what thinking might be going on. And as I say, you might not always notice that. You might not be able to always relate back to this feeling that's come from that thinking. But just catch yourself in that. And that's really all the three principles about being very aware that in any given moment, my thinking's creating my reality. And at any moment, we can have a new thought. So in my instance I was talking about tonight, where I got cut off by this guy, it was like, I could have gone off and I could have ranted and raving, but I thought, well, that guy wasn't paying attention. He might have had all sorts of things going on in his head. He might have been in a hurry. He may be just not thinking like I can do sometimes on the road. I noticed that I'm going down the road and I get a little annoyed that the person in front of me didn't indicate. And then I catch myself further down the road, me not indicating. So we can all do it, hey? And so the three principles really is all about recognising the thoughts and feelings that we have, and do we have to do anything about them? Do we have to act on them? Are they real, or are they just an illusion we're making up? Or is it because I'm just further down the continuum and not in a good way this day? Usually when I'm in the bliss place, or at that end, contentment, calmness and clear mind, happiness, and I've got lots of options, those things just don't worry me quite so much. But I'm not always in that place, because I'm a human being. I go up and down. So that's where I'd like to be, smiling and thumbs up to the world. And we have that ability. And in the moment, we have that ability to be like that. Not always is it easy, but we have that ability. And it's a bit like the analogy of a beach ball. Now, a beach ball's natural ability is to float on top of the water. That's what it does. It frolics on the water, and the wind blows it around, and it bounces along, and it floats on top of the water. Now, for me to actually get it down below the line, I've got to spend quite a bit of energy pushing it under the water. And we might think about our thinking doing that, pushing our feelings down below the line. And but it takes some energy, it takes some doing, and I have to work pretty hard to keep it there, because the moment I let it go, guess what it does? It pops back up. That's our natural, innate ability. We were born to be happy, we were born to be content, we were born to be calm, we were born those. We weren't born to experience placing this black hole. That comes with being human. So I hope that's been helpful, and I will send this out to I will send it out to people that having looked through this. If you looked at it without some explanation, I guess it would look very confusing. But I will send it out to people, and in a moment. So this is Peter Blanks from LifeWorks and from the You Initiative, You, Others and Understanding. And I hope this has been useful to you. Talk to you soon.